Good morning, grade 3s. Today we will be looking at 2D shapes. So for today, the lesson objective would be I can identify 2D shapes. So while you are busy, keep telling yourself that at the end of this lesson, you need to tell yourself, I can identify 2D shapes. So if we look at these shapes on the table are 6 different types of 2D shapes. So let's just start off by writing the names of these shapes. As you know, 2D shapes are flat shapes. And these shapes on the table are all flat shapes, and therefore we call them 2D shapes. As we know, each shape has a different name. So let's start with the first shape. The first shape we call a circle. The second shape we call a triangle. The third shape we call a square. The fourth shape we call a hexagon. The next shape we call an octagon. The last one we would call a rectangle. Okay, so these are 2D shapes. Now, if we take it a bit further, we know that in order to identify the different shapes, we have to look at their sides, we have to look at the corners. And what do we call that? If we look at the sides and the corners of a shape, we call that the attributes of a shape. So what do we call it? The attributes of a shape. So the circle has different ones, the triangle has different attributes, as well as the square. So the attributes are the sides and what we also call the corners, also known as the vertices. So if I look at the triangle and I count the sides would be the sides of the shape. The vertices would be the corners of the shape. So if we look at the triangle and we try to identify the sides of the shape, let's identify it, let's count. So we first have to count. So this is one side, which is 1, another side, which is 2, another side, which is 3. So how many sides does the triangle have? The triangle has 3 sides. If I look at the vertices of the shape, the vertices is the corners of the shape. So here's one corner, here's another one, that makes it 2, here's another one, that makes it 3. So the vertices of the triangle is 3. So now I know the triangle has 3 sides and 3 vertices, and that is also how I know that it's called a triangle. If I look at the octagon, let's count how many sides the octagon has. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So those are 8 sides. How many corners? Let's look at the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the octagon has 8 vertices. So that is how we would identify the name of the shape, is by also looking at the sides and the vertices. As each shape has different sides, different amounts of sides, different amount of vertices. Some would have the same. For example, the rectangle and the square. If you look at each one, how many sides does the square have? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many corners does the rectangle have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Interesting. Let's look at the circle. Would you say that the circle has any sides? No. So you would write 0 sides. Does the circle have any corners? No. So we would say it has 0 vertices, because like we said, vertices is another word for corners.